He managed their money for 20 years, helped them retire, grow their savings, build their dreams. They trusted him with everything. Their children recommended him. Their friends vouched for him. He sent birthday cards, attended their weddings, showed up at their funerals, awards on his wall, certifications, licenses, professional, respected, trusted. And while he smiled and shook their hands and promised their future was secure, he was stealing everything. $5 million, 15 elderly families, 3 years of systematic theft, fake statements, phantom investments, non-existent returns, all while they believed their money was growing. Nobody noticed, not the clients, not their children, not the regulatory agencies. Not until one grandson, a forensic accountant, asked a simple question during Thanksgiving dinner. "Grandpa, why is your account balance different on these two statements from the same month?" That question unraveled the entire scheme, exposed a predator hiding behind a suit and a smile, and revealed that the person you trust most with your money might be the one stealing it. My name is Marcus Stone, and this is the story of how a trusted financial advisor destroyed 15 families. Not with a gun, not with violence, with a pen, a computer, and access to everything they'd worked their entire lives to build. If you have elderly parents with a financial advisor, you need to watch this right now. Hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to show you will change how you protect your family's money forever. This isn't just theft. It's the systematic destruction of trust. Drop a like if you're ready to learn how to never become a victim. The call came at 10:23 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Professional, calm, but underneath, I could hear controlled fury. "Mr. Stone, my name is David Chen. I'm a forensic accountant, and I think someone has been stealing from my grandfather for years." I grabbed my notepad. "Tell me what you found." Thanksgiving dinner. My grandfather, James Chen, 82 years old, was talking about his investments. He's worked with the same financial advisor for 20 years, Richard Harmon, family friend, came recommended by my uncle, manages money for half our extended family. Okay. My grandfather was proud, talking about how his portfolio had grown 8% this year. But something felt off. I'm an accountant. I know market returns. 8% in this economy? Possible, but unlikely for a conservative retirement portfolio. Smart kid, already suspicious. So I asked to see his statements. My grandfather pulled out 2 statements from October, one he'd received by mail, one he'd printed from the online portal. "Mr. Stone, they didn't match." "How different?" $40,000 different. The mailed statement showed a balance of $220,000. The online statement showed $180,000. Both dated October 31st. Both from Harmon Financial Services. My blood went cold. That's not an error. That's fraud. "What did your grandfather say?" "He didn't notice. He rarely checks the online portal, just files the mailed statements." But I pushed, asked to see more statements going back. We spent 3 hours that night comparing. "Mr. Stone, the discrepancies go back 3 years. My grandfather's actual balance is $400,000 less than the mailed statements show." $400,000. Gone. "Did you confront the advisor?" "Not yet. I wanted to talk to an investigator first, because if Richard Harmon is stealing from my grandfather, he might be stealing from others. My aunt uses him, my uncle, several family friends, all elderly, all trusting. Smart move. Don't tip him off. I need to see everything you have. Can we meet today?" "I'm already at your office. Been waiting in my car for 20 minutes. Wanted to catch you right when you arrived." I looked out my window. Young Asian man, late 20s, sitting in a Honda, laptop bag on the passenger seat. The look on his face? Pure determination. This kid was about to help me catch a monster. David Chen walked me through everything. Spreadsheets, statements, transaction histories. For a civilian, he'd done remarkable forensic work. "Here's what I found so far," David said, pulling up his laptop. "My grandfather's account shows systematic withdrawals every month. Small amounts, 5,000 here, 8,000 there. Never more than 10,000, which would trigger reporting requirements. Where's the money going? That's the problem. The withdrawals don't show up on the mailed statements, only on the online portal. And when I tried to trace them through the brokerage, the transactions are listed as management fees or rebalancing transfers. But they're not. No. I called the actual brokerage where the account is held, Fidelity. They have no record of these transactions. The money is being moved before it even hits the brokerage account. So Harmon is intercepting deposits, or withdrawing them immediately and falsifying the statements. Either way, the money is disappearing, and my grandfather has no idea. I leaned back. David, I need you to do something difficult. Can you get me access to your other family members' accounts? The ones who also use Harmon? Already done. David pulled out a folder. I told my aunt and uncle I was doing a financial review for the family, asked for their statements. They didn't question it. Here. 3 more clients, all elderly, all with the same pattern. Discrepancies between mailed statements and online balances. Systematic withdrawals disguised as fees. How much total across all 4 accounts? David's jaw tightened. $1.2 million. Gone. Over 3 years. And these were just 4 clients, family members of 1 victim. If Harmon was doing this to the Chen family, how many others? David, your grandfather said Harmon manages money for half your extended family. How many people total? At least 15. Maybe more. 15 victims. If each one was missing $1 million, we were looking at a $5 million theft, minimum. I need to investigate the others without alerting Harmon. Can you help me contact them? Already have a list. Names, addresses, phone numbers. I was up all night. This kid was going to make a hell of an investigator someday. Before approaching more victims, I needed to understand who Richard Harmon was. Background check, public records, professional history. What I found was perfect. Too perfect. Richard Harmon, age 52, financial advisor for 28 years, certified financial planner, Series 7 and Series 66 licenses, clean record with FINRA, no complaints, no disciplinary actions. Member of the Better Business Bureau, 5-star reviews online, professional website, office in a nice building in downtown Chicago, photos of him volunteering at senior centers, testimonials from satisfied clients praising his honesty and care. He helped us retire comfortably. Margaret and Tom Sullivan. Richard is like family to us. Dorothy Martinez. I trust him with everything. James Chen. That last one stung. James trusted him, and Harmon had stolen $400,000 from him. I dug deeper. Harmon's personal finances. That's where the facade cracked. 6 months ago, Harmon refinanced his house, took out $300,000 in equity. 3 months ago, he sold his wife's car. 2 months ago, he closed his children's college fund accounts. These weren't the actions of a successful financial advisor. These were the actions of someone desperate for cash. I pulled his credit report. It was a disaster. $70,000 in credit card debt, $40,000 in personal loans, judgments from 2 casinos in Indiana. Richard Harmon had a gambling problem, a bad one, and he was funding it with his clients' retirement savings. Over the next week, David and I quietly contacted Harmon's other clients. We had to be careful. If Harmon found out we were investigating, he'd disappear with whatever money was left. Out of 15 clients we identified, 11 agreed to meet with us. The other 4 either couldn't be reached or didn't want to believe their trusted advisor could be stealing. What we found was devastating. Every single client had discrepancies. Mailed statements showing healthy balances, online portals showing the truth. Money systematically drained over months or years. Victim profiles. Margaret Sullivan, 78, widowed, trusted Harmon for 15 years, missing $420,000. Dorothy Martinez, 81, retired teacher. Harmon was her late husband's college roommate, missing $380,000. Harold and Betty Johnson, 83 and 80, married 60 years. Harmon attended their anniversary party, missing $540,000. Robert Foster, 76, Korean War veteran. Harmon thanked him for his service every Veterans Day. Missing $310,000. The list went on. Every victim was elderly. Every victim trusted Harmon completely. And every victim had been systematically robbed. Total theft across 11 confirmed victims, $4.2 million. And we still hadn't talked to 4 more potential victims. If you're watching this and thinking about your own parents' financial advisor, hit that like button right now and leave a comment telling me, when was the last time you actually looked at their investment statements? Not just heard about them. Actually looked. Because what I found next is going to terrify you. David discovered something else. The mailed statements weren't just false. They were sophisticated fabrications. Look at this, David said, comparing 2 statements side by side. The mailed version shows investments in mutual funds that don't exist. Frontier Growth Fund, Stability Income Trust, Secure Retirement Portfolio. I searched FINRA's database. None of these funds are registered. He's inventing funds and showing returns on them. 8% annually. Consistent. Safe. Exactly what elderly conservative investors want to see. But Mr. Stone, the money isn't invested in anything. It's just gone. Gone into Harmon's pocket, into casinos, into covering his debt. I had David pull up Harmon's bank records. We had to get creative, using public records and subpoenas I acquired through my FBI contacts. The money trail was clear. Withdraw funds from client accounts. Deposit into Harmon's business account. Immediately transfer to personal account. Cashier's checks to casinos, or wire transfers to offshore accounts. He wasn't even trying to hide it well. He just assumed nobody would look, and for 3 years he was right. But there was something else. Some of the money was going to cryptocurrency exchanges. He's converting it to Bitcoin, David said, pulling up blockchain records. Probably planning to disappear. Once it's in crypto, it's nearly impossible to trace. We were running out of time. If Harmon suspected anything, he'd cash out and vanish. I called my FBI contact, Special Agent Marcus Rivera. Same agent who'd helped me on the Angel of Death case. Rivera, please tell me you're not calling about another serial killer. Worse, financial serial killer. Elder financial exploitation. 15 victims, 5 million stolen. 3-year scheme. And I think he's about to run. Send me everything. I'll get a warrant. We had to move fast. FBI Financial Crimes Unit assembled a case in 48 hours. Warrant issued for Richard Harmon's arrest and seizure of records. But before they moved in, I wanted to confront him. See if he'd confess. See if there were more victims we didn't know about. I called Harmon's office. Posed as a potential client. Elderly widower with a large inheritance to manage. Would he have time to meet? Of course, Harmon's secretary said. Mr. Harmon always makes time for new clients. How about tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Perfect. The next day, I walked into Harmon Financial Services. Expensive office. Leather furniture. Wall of certifications and awards. Photos of Harmon with smiling elderly clients. Some of whom I now knew he'd robbed. Richard Harmon greeted me with a firm handshake and a warm smile. Late 50s, graying hair, expensive suit. Everything about him screamed trustworthy, professional. Mr. Stone, pleasure to meet you. Please, sit. Tell me about your financial situation. I sat, pulled out a folder. Actually, Richard, I'm not here as a client. I'm a private investigator, and I've been looking into your business practices. His smile froze, just for a second. Then he recovered. I'm sorry. I don't understand. James Chen, Margaret Sullivan, Dorothy Martinez. Should I continue? 15 elderly clients, $4.2 million missing from their accounts. 3 years of systematic theft, and fake statements to cover it up. Harmon's face went pale. I think you should leave. If you have accusations, take them to the authorities. Otherwise, this is defamation. Already did. FBI has warrants being executed right now. Your bank accounts, your computer systems, your records. It's over, Richard. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Rivera. We're moving in. Keep him talking. Harmon stood, started toward his desk. I blocked his path. Sit down. FBI agents are already in the building. You run. They'll arrest you in the hallway. He sat, heavily, suddenly looking 10 years older. How long have you known? His voice was barely a whisper. About a week. David Chen figured it out. Forensic accountant. You stole from the wrong family. Harmon laughed. Bitter. Empty. Of course it was David. Smart kid. Too smart. Why'd you do it? You had a good business. Good reputation. Why throw it all away? I didn't mean to. Harmon put his head in his hands. It started 3 years ago. My wife got sick. Cancer. Experimental treatment not covered by insurance. $300,000 out of pocket. I took a loan from one client. Temporary. I was going to pay it back. But you didn't. I couldn't. The treatment didn't work. She died. I was destroyed. Started drinking. Then gambling. Trying to win back what I'd borrowed. Lost more. Borrowed from another client to cover the first, then another, and another. Before I knew it, I was in too deep. Had to keep stealing to cover the previous theft. Classic Ponzi scheme psychology. One crime to cover another, until the whole thing collapses. Some of your victims died never knowing you robbed them. Harmon's eyes filled with tears. I know. Dorothy Martinez. She had a stroke last year. Died thinking she was leaving her grandchildren a nest egg. There was nothing left. I took it all. Harold and Betty Johnson, married 60 years. You stole their anniversary gift to each other. I sent them a card. Told them I was honored to help them celebrate. And the whole time, I knew I'd stolen their dreams. The door opened. FBI agents in tactical gear. Richard Harmon, you're under arrest for wire fraud, securities fraud, elder financial exploitation, and money laundering. They cuffed him, read him his rights. As they let him out, he looked back at me. Tell them I'm sorry. I know it doesn't help, but tell them. I didn't respond. Sorry doesn't give back stolen retirement funds. Sorry doesn't undo 3 years of theft. Sorry doesn't make 15 families whole. Sorry is worthless. The FBI's investigation revealed the full extent of Harmon's crimes. It was worse than we thought. Total victims, 23, not 15. 23 elderly clients, all trusting, all vulnerable. Total stolen, $5.3 million. Time frame, 5 years, not 3. The earliest thefts dated back to right after his wife's death. Method, systematic withdrawals, disguised as fees, rebalancing, or management expenses. Fake statements mailed monthly, showing false balances and phantom investment growth. Real money funneled to Harmon's accounts, then to casinos, cryptocurrency, and offshore accounts. Recovery, $1.8 million, seized from Harmon's accounts, property, and cryptocurrency wallets. The rest was gone, gambled away, lost in bad investments, disappeared. which meant victims lost $3.5 million permanently. Elderly people who'd worked their entire lives, saved carefully, trusted a professional, and lost everything. Margaret Sullivan had to sell her house, move in with her daughter, cancel medical procedures she couldn't afford. Harold and Betty Johnson canceled their 50th anniversary cruise, couldn't afford it anymore. Harold took a part-time job at 73 to make ends meet. Robert Foster, the veteran, stopped taking 2 of his medications, too expensive. He'd rather risk his health than burden his family. These weren't just numbers. These were lives destroyed, retirement stolen, dreams shattered, all because they trusted the wrong person with their money. Richard Harmon's trial began 8 months later. He pleaded guilty to all charges. No point fighting it. The evidence was overwhelming. But his lawyer tried to paint him as a victim too. Grieving widower who made mistakes. Gambling addict who needed help. Good man who lost his way. The prosecution wasn't buying it. "Your Honor," the prosecutor said, "Richard Harmon stole $5.3 million from 23 elderly victims. He didn't steal once in a moment of weakness. He stole systematically, deliberately, over 5 years. He created fake documents to deceive his victims. He looked them in the eye at their birthday parties, their family gatherings, their spouses' funerals, and lied to their faces while robbing them blind. Victims testified. 12 of the 23 were still alive and healthy enough to attend. 11 had died, either before the scheme was discovered or during the investigation. Margaret Sullivan, now 79, took the stand, frail, angry. "I trusted Richard with everything," she said, voice shaking. "My late husband chose him, said Richard was a good man. For 15 years, I believed that. I bragged about Richard to my friends, recommended him to my sister. He sent me birthday cards, came to my husband's funeral, and the whole time, he was stealing from me. I'm 79 years old. I don't have time to rebuild my savings. I'll die poor because Richard Harmon decided my money was his." Dorothy Martinez's daughter testified on behalf of her deceased mother. "My mother died thinking she was leaving us $50,000. There was $800 left. Richard Harmon stole my mother's final gift to her grandchildren. He stole her dignity, her security, her peace of mind in her final years. I hope he never knows peace again." Harmon cried through all of it. Whether from genuine remorse or self-pity, I couldn't tell. The judge, a severe man in his late 60s, looked at Harmon with pure disgust. "Mr. Harmon, you are a predator. You targeted the most vulnerable, the elderly, the trusting, the people who had worked their entire lives to build security, and you stole it. Not with violence, with betrayal, with manipulation of trust." Harmon stood shaking. "You are sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. You will serve a minimum of 17 years before being eligible for parole. Additionally, you are ordered to pay $5.3 million in restitution. Every cent you earn in prison, every asset you acquire for the rest of your life, goes to your victims." 20 years. Harmon would be 72 when he got out. Roughly the same age as most of his victims. Poetic justice. Richard Harmon is currently serving his sentence at FCI Pekin in Illinois. He'll die in prison, most likely. Even if he makes parole, he'll be old, broken, and penniless. The restitution order? Largely symbolic. Harmon has no assets left. The $1.8 million recovered was distributed among victims, averaging about $78,000 each. Better than nothing, but nowhere near what they lost. Some victims never recovered financially. Margaret Sullivan lives with her daughter now, sold her house, gave up her independence. Others found ways to adapt. Harold and Betty Johnson downsized, cut expenses, still struggling, but together. Robert Foster got help from a veterans organization, enough to cover his medications, not enough to restore what he lost. David Chen, the grandson who started all this, changed careers, quit his corporate accounting job. Now works with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, specifically elder fraud cases. "My grandfather lost $400,000, David told me. But at least he's alive to know the truth. 11 victims died never knowing they'd been robbed. Died thinking their money was safe. that their advisor cared about them. I'm making sure this never happens to another family. Good kid. He's going to save a lot of people. As for the financial industry, minimal changes, new regulations requiring dual statements, more oversight. But the fundamental problem remains. Trust. Financial advisors require access to your accounts, authority to make transactions, control over your future. And if that person is dishonest, the damage they can do is catastrophic. Financial advisor fraud is one of the fastest growing crimes against the elderly. Estimates suggest $3 billion stolen annually through advisor theft, embezzlement, and fraud. Most cases never get reported. Victims are embarrassed. Families don't want to admit they didn't catch it. Advisors disappear before anyone notices. Richard Harmon stole for 5 years before David Chen asked one simple question. Why are these balances different? That question saved his grandfather from losing more, exposed 23 victims, put a predator in prison. Here's what you need to do if you have elderly parents with financial advisors. 1. Request statements directly from the brokerage or bank, not from the advisor. Compare them to what the advisor provides. If they don't match exactly, investigate immediately. 2. Check credentials. FINRA broker check, SEC investment advisor public disclosure, criminal background, disciplinary actions. Do this annually. 3. Require dual authorization. Major transactions need approval from both the advisor and a family member. This prevents unauthorized withdrawals. 4. Monitor accounts monthly. Online access. Review every transaction. Question anything unusual. 5. Trust but verify. Even if your advisor is recommended by family, even if they've been trusted for years, even if they seem like a good person, verify everything. 6. Watch for red flags. Advisor living beyond their means, lifestyle changes, reluctance to provide documentation, pressure to not involve family in financial decisions. Richard Harmon sent birthday cards, attended funerals, smiled and shook hands, and stole $5.3 million. Don't let a smile and a suit fool you into trusting someone with everything you've worked for. If this investigation opened your eyes to a threat you never considered, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone who has elderly parents or relatives with financial advisors. Drop a comment telling me, have you checked your parents' investment statements lately? Not asked about them. Actually checked. Your comment could save someone from losing everything. I'm Marcus Stone. I investigate the cases that expose predators hiding in plain sight. Richard Harmon wore a suit, not a mask. Worked in an office, not a dark alley. Stole with a pen, not a gun. And he destroyed 23 families because nobody asked the right questions. David Chen asked one question and saved his grandfather from losing more. What question should you be asking before it's too late?